Okay, here we are back in Photoshop, and we're just going to create a kind of like a abstract / geometric background. I'm going to do this 4K 3840 by 2160 and 300 RGB black background, and we'll go ahead and create our document. Now we're just going to work with the line tool and the elliptical marquee tool to create this, and then just do some shadows and gradients and use our brush too. Okay, so first things, we do have our background. It's black color. We can just unlock that layer if we want. So first we want to create some lines. So if you go into your shape tool, it probably has this rectangle on there. If you just hold down on your mouse button and go down to line tool, and up here in the line tool, we want to change our weight. I'm going to go with the 4 pixels. It's probably on 1, but we're going to go with the 4 first, alright? And I want to change the color to this blue so I can see what I'm doing. Alright, so if you just hold down and drag, you can make a line. Now, if you hold shift, it will make it perfectly straight, which is kind of what we want. But I'm going to go down and drag this down to like 45 degrees. Okay, so you see that little box, it says 45 degrees. So just kind of move your mouse till it's on 45. So I want a 45 degree line, and we'll go ahead and hit enter. So what happened was it reverted to the last thing I used. So I want to go back and go on stroke, change that to blue, and then I'm going to change this to the 4 pixels. Sometimes things happen, but they're easy fixes. Alright, so we have this line, and what I want to do is I want to move it to this. So this is a center point here. So we need some guides to do that. So if we go to view and then we go to guides and we go new guide layout, and I already have it set up from the last time I used this, but check your columns and rows, 2 rows or 2 columns, 2 rows, and then everything else is blank. We'll go ahead and hit OK. So now we have this grid that we can center things up with. I'm gonna hit Control T on my transform on my line layer and just bring it into the middle like so. So it's dead nuts on that. Alright, so and then we'll hit enter. Okay, now I want to create some lines going down this way. So I can just make a copy of this, Control J, and then I'm going to hit Control T, and while holding shift will move it more pixels at a time. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 pixels, and we'll hit OK, and then we'll hit enter. So we have our 2 lines now. Now I want to repeat this a bunch of times. So if I hit Control Shift Alt and T, it will just make a bunch of lines. So I'm just going to go down to about there and hit enter. So we have these lines like this. And what I'm going to do now is click on the top layer, click on the bottom layer while holding shift, and I'm just going to merge these all into one group. Alright, so it's one shape now. So we have this one. Now I think I want to move this up, so let's go Control V, and we can, whoops, we can't do that. Let's hit enter and Control Z. Let's make sure we're on that. Let's just hit Control T and hold shift, and we'll move this up to the corner like so. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe trying to create a point like so. I think that is what I want. Alright, now what I want to do is make a copy of this. So Control J, and then we'll hit Control T, and I want to flip this horizontally. Okay, and then we can hold down shift, and we'll just drag this over, and it will snap into that line. So we have this pattern here. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to add some layer styles to this, but I need to make these lines the same size as the canvas. But if we hit our crop tool, and if we hit enter, and we have delete crop pixels, and we say, yeah, that's what we want to do, watch what happens. If we hit Control T, it didn't crop it out. Okay, so when you have a shape, it won't delete crop pixels because it's shape. So I'm just gonna shift click both of these. I'm happy with that, so I'm gonna merge them, Control E, and then I'm gonna right click and click rasterize the layer. And then we can hit our crop tool, and delete crop pixels is checked, and then we'll hit our check mark. Okay, so if we hide our guides and hit Control T, our lines are exactly how we want them to be. Okay, except for one thing. Alright. Now these lines here, I'm going to make another copy of them. Control J, Control T, and then this one I'm going to flip vertically. So we now have this pattern here. And I'm going to hold down Shift, drag it down to here. About like so. So we have this overlapping shapes here, but I want to get rid of these lines here, the outside and these. Alright, so what I need to do is create a mask, and we're going to go and make this bigger. I'm just hitting Control plus on my keyboard, and then we'll grab our polygonal lasso tool, click there, go down to about here, and up to here. And I think that looks pretty good. And we'll just make a selection. Hit D on your keyboard, X, make sure black's your foreground, and then you can just Alt and backspace, and that will mask that out. And that looked like it did an okay job. And then we're just going to do the same down here. We'll click about. You just want to make sure that it's on the line. I'm going to get rid of this point here. Okay, and you may have to adjust this. I think this will work. Okay, that didn't do what I thought it was going to do, because we need this mask on this also. Hold down Alt and we'll drag this mask down like so. Alright, so yeah, alright. Now we need to get rid of these lines, so we're just going to do the same process. Just kind of, you want to get it lined up with that line, so space that out, Control D, kind of missed it a little bit, so just make it bigger. Now let's see what this does. Backspace, yeah, that looks right. And we'll come over to this side as well. Go. Like so, like so, and you don't have to scroll. If you go outside of your document, it will move for you. All right, so we have this exactly how we want it, and this is our start. Okay, so next what we want to do is, I think I'm just going to merge all these together. Control E, and we have this shape. Okay, so now let's do a solid color so we can see a little bit better what's happening. Let's maybe go like this, and let's go on our line layer and let's just add some bevel and emboss and some bevel and emboss 594 13. Just use these settings here. We can bring the highlights up a little bit if we wanted to. Yeah, about like so. And I think that's going to work. And we can come back to this and mess around with it a little bit more. Okay, so underneath this, let's go ahead and create a new layer. We're going to grab a brush tool this time. So B for brush, and this is just a soft round brush. And I have it on just that blue color. Let's maybe make it a little bit lighter. And what I'm going to do here is kind of line it up as close to the center as I can, Control H, and we will make one little point here, come up here, hold shift, go like that, and then we're going to do the same thing this way, and there you have our little background thing. Alright, let's create a new layer on top of that, and then let's switch this brush to white. And we'll go a little bit smaller, and like so, hold down shift, like so, hold down shift. If you hold down shift, it'll make you know, a straight line between the first point and the second point. So hold down shift, it does that. Control Z if we want it this way. If you hold down shift, it'll go like that. So anyways. Alright, so this is our basis of what we have going on. So it's coming to a little bit, and I think I want to maybe get rid of this point here. So we could just put these in a group and hit a mask, and then grab our lasso tool and just hit L, and we'll just mask this out right here. So let's go. This will be a little bit easier to do. Like so. And we have this selection, and black is our foreground. We have our mask selected, so Alt and backspace, and now we have that. Alright. So that's the start of it. We want to add some more little weird things to it, so let's go ahead and click our new layer icon. We have this blue again, so let's grab our brush B, and let's maybe make it around 500, and we'll just click once like this, and while leaving that in the same spot, hit X to bring up your background color, so white, and then we'll hit our left bracket key and make this about 200, and just click a little dot like so, and we'll hit Control T, hold down shift, and we'll squish this down, and still holding shift, we'll spread it out a little bit like so. And we have this little flare, I guess we'll call it. And we want to rotate this, so Control T, if we hold down shift and rotate it, we can rotate it 45 degrees. And we can grab this and maybe put it right here like so, and we'll make a copy of it, Control J, Control T, and we'll hold down shift and drag it down to here, and maybe we'll bring it down like so. Okay, so we have those two lines. Let's go ahead and click on both of them, Control J, Control T, flip horizontal, drag it over here, and we have this. So Control H to hide the guides. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for. Control H. Okay. Now let's click on this top one, click on the bottom little flare that we did while holding shift. We'll put this in a group, and we'll just name this Flare Lines. Enter. Okay, so now we have that. Now we need to make some circles. So I want the circles to be under everything. So we're going to go down here, click on that one, grab a new layer, and then we're just going to grab our elliptical marquee tool, hold down shift, we're going to make a circle. Okay, and maybe about this size here, and then we're going to go to our gradient tool. I have this like blue and gray gradient selected. You can kind of match up these colors if you want. Totally up to you. And I have it on a radial gradient, and I'm just going to grab, drag from this point to here and create this little sphere type thing. Hit Control D, and then I'm going to make a copy of this. Control J, Control T, and we're going to hold down Alt and make it a little bit smaller, and then I want to rotate it around a little bit like this, and we have that. So we have these two copies. I'm going to Control J these together and Control E to merge them. I'm just going to bring them up to the top so we can kind of see what we're working with here. Alright, okay, that's what I want. I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so we have these two. Let's go ahead and let's see, the smaller one, bigger one, smaller one. Let's control click on the smaller one. And then what I want to do here is go to select, modify, and I want to put a border on it of 5, and we'll hit OK. And you really can't see what it did unless you zoom way out. Okay, so basically it just created a 5-pixel border, but what I want to do to this is just create a new layer, right click, create clipping mask, and grab a brush tool, and with black selected, I'm just going to kind of paint in those lines. Okay, you really can't see what's happening until we turn off the thing. So it just kind of did this little weird effect. Not really important how you do it. Let's group those all together, and we'll just call this circle. Hit enter. And I think I want to do one more circle inside that, so let's go ahead and grab our elliptical marquee tool. We'll hold down shift, and I want it maybe like so, maybe like this. Okay, so we're kind of creating like a moon shape on the outside. So let's go up to our gradient, and this time I want to do like a black and a gray. So click on this one, it's black on this side, and let's change this stop here to a darker gray like so. That'll probably work. And then we need to be a new layer, and we'll grab our gradient tool and just go like this, and we now have that. Control D, and on this one I want to do a bevel and emboss, so double click on it, bevel and emboss, and you can use these settings. This is kind of what I want, or maybe let's go down. Okay, so we're going inner bevel smooth, 594%. Size 13. Yeah, that looks okay. And then we can brighten up our highlights a little bit if we wanted to. Maybe put it on like 67, and then our shadows, let's bring it to around 61, and we'll hit OK. So I kind of like that look. Alright, so Control minus will bring these down, and what I want to do now is grab this layer and the circle layer, and I'm going to destructively just merge them all together. So Control E, so it's just one layer. And now I want to move this. So Control T, or you can hit V with your move tool. I'll just go like this and kind of position it like so. And if we hold Shift now, like that, it's Control Z, Control T, bring it down to here, and then we'll Control J to copy it, Control T. We will flip this horizontally and drag this over to this corner, like so. And did I did not. Let's V, Control T, and we'll put that center point right on the edge. Okay, so we have that. Now let's go ahead and make one more copy. Control J, Control T, let's bring this up to the center. Let's see what we want. I think I want that. Hold down Alt and we'll just make it a little bit bigger, like so. Enter, and now we have basically our design. So Control plus, and we'll Control H to hide all those lines. Alright, so now that we have basically kind of the design laid out, there's a couple other things that I would probably do. Maybe put something in here. Let's make a copy of this, that big circle, Control J, Control T, and then let's hold down Shift and drag it down underneath, like so. And then we'll hold down Alt or Option and bring it down like so. Maybe something like that. Let's mask the rest of this out. Let's grab our lasso tool again. And go boom. Boom, 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 boom. And we can just hit Alt or Option and Backspace, and then that masked it. Okay. Alright, so I think that is okay. And we can apply layer mask if we wanted to. Alright, so we just have all these shapes. Let's go up to our top copy and then make sure your colors are set to default. D as in dog will do that if they're not. D, X, X, flips them back and forth. Okay, so we have black on top, and now we're going to do a gradient map. So let's click on our new adjustment layers, click on gradient map, and now we have this gradient map. Let's click on the bar, and then I want to add a color here in the middle. So this color I want to be, and you can play around with this, make it darker, maybe make it lighter, maybe something like so. So that will create a gradient map. So if you unclick that, that's before, this is after. You can mess around with your opacity to create whatever you want. Alright, you can also change blending modes on this to create different looks. If you leave it on normal, just dial your opacity back down a little bit, and you have that look. If you don't like it, you can turn it off. Okay, so that is that, and now I'm going to hit Control, Shift, Alt, and E to merge everything together into one layer. And I like this how it is, but we could add some other things to it. We could do some warping, so Edit, Transform, Warp, and then we could go into this menu here, Warp, and maybe do a let's do shell upper and see what it does. Okay, I like that, and then maybe we can bend it more. So this is basically just warping everything. into that. Alright, so this is before, after. You can just kind of play around with your warps, but I think I like this here. Let's go ahead underneath this. Let's create a gradient. We'll go to gradient and let's click on our, let's see if I have that blue and gray. Yeah, let's kind of like this one. Go hit OK, and then we can mess around with the top blend mode and do some weird things, right? So maybe if we put it on overlay, we have that, and then we can change our fill down, and that's going to create something with the bottom layer, whatever you like. So we can crank this all the way up, we could double click on it, we can reverse it, hit to the, you can mess around with your scale. You can grab your gradient and move it up and down, maybe like so. I think I like that, and we'll hit OK. So just a bunch of different options, and then I'm going to save this out as just a background. Okay, that's all it is. You could add some grain. You could take it into your camera raw as well. Let's do that. Filter, camera raw filter. Okay, we're here in the camera raw filter, and basically all I'm going to do here, I mean, we could come in here and like crank up highlights or lower them and stuff like that, add some contrast, take away contrast, but the only thing I really want to do is add some texture and clarity, and then I want to add some grain. So go to effects, and then we'll add some grain on it, and I think that is the look I want, and we'll go ahead and hit OK. And all that's going to do is add green to the top and that little bit of texture and clarity. Okay, so there you have it. That's basically it. You could make copies of this. You can hit Control J, Control T, you can flip it vertically and create this look, and then maybe change this to lighten or whatever. You can kind of go through your different blend modes, and you have all these different looks out of just playing around with blend modes. That looks pretty cool. And it's basically just messing around in Photoshop and creating some things. So that was pretty cool, that saturation on top of that. Take it all the way back up to normal, and it's going to cover everything. So we go to darken. What was the one that we liked? Lighten. Lighten looks pretty cool. Overlay looks pretty cool too. It's a little bit dark. I mean, you can go one step further on this one too. Go ahead and hit enter to accept, because my transform tool is still around it. Maybe hit V and move it down a little bit. Mess around. Maybe to here. All depends. You can. Well, that's a pretty cool look right there. Maybe let's make a copy of this and turn this one off, and then on this one maybe we'll grab a layer mask and grab our brush and just kind of brush all this stuff out here. And obviously you'd probably want to spend some more time in there, but there you have it. So we have that look, because I like how it ridged up those. That's pretty cool. Yeah, anyways, let's delete that. So that's probably going to be enough of that. You can play around with it. You could twist and twirl and do some other things to this too. Let's just do it while we're here. Filter, distort. Let's go to, let's see what ripple does. Ripple, let's crank it up. Let's put it on large. Let's see what that looks like. Doesn't look really good to me, but that's okay. Maybe it looks good to you. Control Z. Filter, distort. We could do some twirl to it. Maybe crank it up to 224 and hit OK. And you now have this background. You can create about 1,700 different backgrounds out of the same thing. We could go to Shear. Let's do wraparound, and let's go like this. Maybe make some points like so. If we repeat edge pixels now, let's wrap it. And we'll hit OK, and then we have this cool effect here, which looks pretty badass. Alright, so that's that. Control Z. Learning Photoshop, basically just go through, do something, and see what it does. Like wave, we have our wavelength. Let's do our waves like so, and then maybe crank up our amplitude a little bit like so, and maybe just do it on the vertical. Let's bring this all the way down. Maybe, yeah, let's do it like that. Let's see what that does. We hit OK, and now you have this. Okay, so just play around. Like, that's how you learn. I'm going to end it because I've rambled on for 20 minutes about nothing. But if this helped you, leave a like and subscribe, please, and we will see you on the next one.